turn now to the political analysts. We have Republican strategist Tim Rosales and Democratic strategist Andrew Acosta with us. We do want to say thank you all for being here with us. I understand you did have a chance to watch the speech tonight.
Yep. Yeah, very excited to have you guys here. We want to start with your overall impressions. President Trump really needed to convince Americans that his arguments and agenda are working. Was he successful in communicating that to voters tonight? Tim, we'll start with you.
I think the president was successful in communicating that to his base. Okay. I don't think that to the independent voters who maybe were looking for a little bit more, and certainly disaffected Democrats, I don't know that he won any votes there. But that really, I don't think, was the purpose of his speech tonight. I think he really wanted to communicate, energize that Republican base, and also kind of set forth some things that he wanted to do for the rest of this year to maybe set Republicans up for November, but they've got a long way to go, admittedly.
Yeah, good point. There was a lot of energy in the room, especially from the Republicans. Now, on the Democrat side, Andrew, how do you think he communicated his message and his agenda tonight?
Well, I mean, there were Democrats in Congress who didn't come. I mean, and I'm assuming there are quite a few Democrats who didn't watch the speech because they already know where they stand. They don't need to hear from him. So the polls that are out show that he's in trouble. And as Tim said, independent voters aren't really buying what he's selling. So I'm not sure this speech is going to change it quite a bit. And I think the House is really up for grabs, and potentially the Senate as well. And I think if you're a Republican in California, good luck, because you have to try to fight those Trump headwinds.
Well, let's talk about this because I think we had a first tonight, a lawmaker being escorted out of the chamber. It happened after Representative Al Green stood up with a sign that read, "Black people are not apes." I think that was in response to the video President Trump shared depicting former President Obama and his wife, Michelle, as apes. It was a moment that really was shared across social media. So talk about your perhaps top takeaways from tonight.
Well, I think my top takeaway from tonight was that, the president didn't have any home runs, really, but I don't think he necessarily hurt himself anywhere. And so it really played to a level field. And I think that for Republicans, as mentioned, that really kind of setting the foundation, talking about things like the economy and those types of issues that where they want to carve out and they know that they need to go and make some headway with. Certainly Democrats are talking about that as well. But I think the top takeaway for me, as I said, is really that kind of Trump set the bar with where he wants to go with Republicans and kind of energize that base.
And Andrew, your top takeaways?
Yeah, I think he scoffs at the word affordability, but he did mention several things around who can buy a home. Can you stop the private equity firms buying homes? Ratepayer protection. So he had some policy things that he rolled out. He gave out a lot of awards. It was very patriotic. But, what you saw was angry Democratic members of Congress yelling at him and him yelling back. And I think that's when people see this and think, this is why we don't like politics, because everyone's in their, this goes back to their corners, and that's kind of what we saw.
Yeah, very understandable. Now, a big topic, and you referenced it, the economy. We know kitchen table issues, affordability. Everyone's talking about it right now. The president talked about his efforts to make the cost of living more affordable. We know he mentioned $2 gas in a lot of places across the country. Definitely something we're not seeing right here in California. Tim, how would you advise Republicans respond to the president's economic policies as we move into the midterms?
Well, I think we have to think about, Republicans have to think about it in two ways. One is the California experience, and then the experience that other states are having across the country. And certainly in California, our experience with the price of gas, energy, all of homes, everything is much more acute and much more focused. And it's been that way for quite some time. And you can point to a number of different things. Certainly Democrats have been in control in California. On the national front, what voters are looking for is the progress and for Trump to deliver on some of the things that he promised during the campaign. And while he's delivered on things like border security and national defense and talking about peace, he certainly has not delivered yet on the economy. We'll see if it happens.
Right. We will see if that happens. And Andrew, on the Democrat side, how do you think they should respond moving forward with the economic policies and their agenda as the midterms approach?
Yeah, I think you saw that with Governor Spanberger. They want to hammer affordability. They want to hammer the economic issues. If we get dragged into these, 80-20 issues around abolish ICE or some of these other things that are popular with the progressives but not popular sort of across the board, then that could be a problem. But I think if we stay focused on healthcare costs and the things that we've seen and the things that he said he was going to fix and hasn't happened. And that's reflective in the polls. People just don't trust him on the things he promised to do as president.
It was a long speech, 1 hour, 48 minutes, perhaps the longest, a record. How important are these speeches in this 24-hour news cycle, and will it have an impact on the president's poll numbers?
I don't know that this, as I mentioned, moves the needle at all, really, with the voters. I think that with this 24-hour news cycle, we talked about it earlier, something could happen in the next few hours that completely changes the narrative. The one thing that I did notice is that we had a speech that went on the East Coast into 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. Most people were not watching necessarily the State of the Union. They're going to get this from other sources, and kind of that will be filtered, and they'll kind of interpret it that way. Importance.
That's from
debatable.
Republican strategists, which you say is
I think Tim's point is well taken. People are going to get it from other sources, and those sources are going to clip it into 30-second sound bites or a minute little hit, and they're going to pick up different things based on their algorithm and what you follow. And again, that's kind of the world we live in the political world, where you sort of follow your herd, and that's what you're going to see is people on the Trump side saying he was amazing, and Democrats wouldn't stand up when he was asking them to stand up and honor somebody here, that kind of stuff. And so does it move the needle overall? I doubt it. Again, he didn't announce any major policies that people are going to say, that's really going to help me. I think he announced some things people were like, interesting. Ratepayer protection, I want to hear more about that. And this fraud task force that J.D. Vance is going to, start. It's a good talking point for them. I don't know if that helps him overall and if it helps the elections.
Okay, gentlemen, we thank you for being here. And don't forget, if you missed President Trump's State of the Union address and the Democratic response, you can watch it in its entirety on the free ABC 10 app.